So let me talk to you a little bit about believing the science. If you watched our special this week on COVID and the origins of COVID, it's pretty hard to believe in science. It's hard to believe in anything, honestly. But that's what we're supposed to do. Believe in science. Believe the science. When it comes to climate change, do you believe the science? Pandemic, do you believe the science? Anything else that uses science like a infinity trump card to shut down debate, do you believe that science? You know, it used to be in God we trust. And the progressives tried this around the turn of the century, and once we saw that it led to eugenics and the mass horrors all across the world in the 30s and 40s, we kind of fell back on in God we trust, not in science we trust, but we're back. Science as God has been sketchy since the nature of science. It's subject to new discoveries and updates. The nature of God, however, is he's the same yesterday, today, and forever. And I guess I'm in that category of weirdos who think there's room for God and science. I think God must be the ultimate mathematician and the ultimate scientist because it all comes from him. And then there's the problem of what to do when believe the science ringleaders aren't being honest about their science. They become more of a church than anything else. Well, that always does. The same thing that, happened in the Dark Ages. The church says, believe me because I say so, even though it's not provable or against common sense. And it just creates tribalism and division. And eventually the scientists, whether they're part of a religion or their religion is science, they fail in the end. And just like it happened in the 30s, we go back to saying, let's listen to common sense. Let's use actual scientific measurements. Let's prove things out as much as we can. And then in God we trust. But I want to tell you there is a science that Americans can believe in fully without prejudice, without feeling like you're compromising any personal beliefs. Believe in science this next week. Science tells us there is something that lowers blood pressure, improves sleep, it improves your immune system, it reduces the risk for anxiety and depression. It'll help you exercise more, eat better, drink and smoke less. Well, that's crazy. It has been linked to a significant reduction in stress hormones. Now, if I said this and then I said, may cause impotence, and I sold it to you in a pill, it'd be heralded as a miracle drug. I think people might be a little worried about it. They'd be like, wait a minute, I'm not going to, it's a brave new world. Recent years, studies have verified all of these health benefits and more for this miracle cure. So what is it? Well, I'd like to introduce my team, not from Pfizer. They're going to talk about and show you this miracle pill. It's called the Science of Thanksgiving. And it's not the holiday, but it's the frequent practice of gratitude. See, this is the problem we have in America. Nobody's grateful. Can you imagine what we look like to the rest of the world right now? The rest of the world is buying into our bullcrap that we deserve it. And why? Because they think we're a bunch of rich, spoiled snots, crybabies. Do you know how many people would build a raft, literally, and cross dangerous waters to get here? Cross deserts to get here? Come from around the world and pay off really sketchy people to get into our country that don't have ill intent. And we're sitting here complaining we have no gratitude. Our forefathers understood the benefits of gratitude instinctively. They didn't have the scientific data to back it up. George Washington and Abraham Lincoln knew the benefits, both personally and nationally, of gratitude, which is why both of those men made their Thanksgiving proclamations. You know, I tried to get the Senate to pass Abraham Lincoln's Thanksgiving proclamation of prayer, humiliation, and fasting for Thanksgiving. Today is the anniversary of Gettysburg. Don't know if you know that. Today is the anniversary of Gettysburg, when all those dead were laying there. It took weeks, it took weeks for Lincoln to get there. When Lincoln gave his Gettysburg address this day, they still had, after weeks, bodies all over the field. And he stood up and gave a little speech. Somebody else spoke for almost 2 hours. I don't even know who it was. He spoke for just a few minutes. He thought the speech was so inconsequential, a New York newspaper man said, "Hey, Mr. Lincoln, can I get a copy of that speech?" He handed him the original that he wrote on the train. Here. He didn't think anything of it. Neither did the guy who published it, the journalist. He just took it, copied it, and then threw that letter away, threw that speech away. But that proclamation that Congress would not pass today, I asked them. They wouldn't introduce it, and it wouldn't get passed today. And I said, I don't want to change the verbiage. Just put it up again. It's the Thanksgiving proclamation from Abraham Lincoln. No one would do it. We have a problem with Thanksgiving, with gratitude. By the way, when that was passed in the Senate, and it was signed by Abraham Lincoln, it was the turning point in the war. Yes, we have inflation. Yes, we have supply chain issues. Yes, pandemic policy nightmares, government overreach. Our leaders seem bent on destroying the very fabric of our nation. And yet there's still a chance because the glass is still more than half full. We still enjoy more freedom than most people. And we still have the opportunity to be heard. May I suggest that we should try something next week? Just for a week. Let's believe in science. Let's believe in the science of Thanksgiving. Maybe we even, at our Thanksgiving table, read the proclamation from 1863 from Abraham Lincoln. Even though our government doesn't believe it, we still believe in God. And I think God still believes in us. He's just waiting for us to be grateful. And when we're grateful, maybe we can heal the wounds of this great nation and restore it as soon as may be consistent with divine purposes to the full enjoyment of peace, harmony, tranquility, and union.